All right, everyone, welcome. We are going to get ready and learn about Rosh Hashanah, which is happening starting this Friday night until Sunday night for 48 hours. We have a chance to really tap into the energy of the day. And let's, go deeper into what Rosh Hashanah means. So first of all, Rosh Hashanah, it's on the first day of Tishrei and the second day of Tishrei, and it's celebrating the creation of man. Adam and Chava were created on the original Rosh Hashanah. Chav Hey Elul, the 25 of Elul, is 5 days prior to that. So when Rosh Hashanah happens, it's the creation of Adam and Chava. So what happens on the original Rosh Hashanah? So the original Rosh Hashanah, Adam comes down into this world and he's created as a single unit. He's not created like the other plants were created as a multitude, the grass, the animals. Adam is created as one individual. That in itself teaches us a huge lesson. Every one of us has a purpose in this world. Whatever we do can affect the entire world. Sometimes we think to ourselves, oh, what can I do? Or my little opinion. This comes to teach us that we were created as a single entity. Whatever we do can affect the entire world. Bishvili bara ha'olam. So let us remember that whatever action we take, it affects our life and it can have a ripple effect in the lives of everyone. So when Adam was created, one of the things that he did on that day, he called all of the animals and he said, let us bow down to Hashem. On the first day on the original Rosh Hashanah, the creation of man, he called all the animals and he said, let's bow down to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He recognized that there is a creator of the world. There is a king. There is a master of this world. So now, when Rosh Hashanah comes, we tap into the same energy of 5,781 years ago. When Rosh Hashanah comes, one of the main services, one of the main things that we do on Rosh Hashanah is that we crown Hashem as our king. And I'll explain more what that means. Rosh Hashanah means the head. Rosh literally means head, Hashanah means year. So Rosh Hashanah means the head of the year. That's the literal translation. We say a new year. So just like the head, our brain has the ability to send messages to our whole body. Like I can lift my hand, I can raise my foot without my brain sending that message. So Rosh Hashanah, it's the 48 hours of Rosh Hashanah is like the brain, and it gives koach, it gives power to the entire year. So these 48 hours are really precious. They're a time to connect. They're a time to say tehillim. They're a time of introspection. And one of the things about Rosh Hashanah, people most well known, is Yom Hadin. It's a day of judgment. And it is true. It is a day of judgment. Hashem is deciding who's going to live and God forbid who's going to pass away, who's going to be rich and who's going to be poor. It is a day of judgment. However, there's other aspects of Rosh Hashanah that we want to tap into. And I want to focus on that part. Because if we only tap onto the Yom Adin, the Yom Judgment, we can have a lot of trepidation, and we come to Rosh Hashanah with a lot of fear. I like to call it not days of awe, like I'm scared, but days of awesomeness, because Hashem is amazing. Hashem is awesome. So yes, it is Yom Hadin, but the way that we approach Rosh Hashanah and the way that we actually experience the day, it could change our whole meaning. So I want to focus on the second aspect of Rosh Hashanah that I was very lucky to learn in some yeshivot where we learn Hasidut, the deeper meanings of the Torah. So this concept of crowning Hashem as our king. What does that mean? What does it mean to crown Hashem as our king? Basically what it means, it's a kind of like a renewal of our vows. Like if we are married, we want to recommit, so to speak, to our spouses. So when Rosh Hashanah comes, is a time to recommit to Hashem, to say, oh, Hashem, you are my king. We get so distracted, life is so busy, and we forget, like, what are we here for? What is the point of everything that we're doing? We get caught in the rat race. So we say, Hashem, you are my king. I recognize on this day that, it was the creation of the world. You made me. You are my king, and you want a relationship with me. Hashem decided to create this world, so to speak. Like, what was here before Hashem created the world? We don't know. We say Hashem Haya, Hashem Hoveh, Hashem Yeh, Hashem was, Hashem is, and Hashem will be. So Hashem always existed. So it says that he had a desire, so to speak. He had a ta'ava, he had an inner desire to create this world, to be co-creators, to be partners with us. So when Rosh Hashanah comes, we take that time to pause and to acknowledge that, to reconnect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he made us, and he wants a relationship with us. Now to get a little bit Kabbalistic, let's go a little bit further into this idea of a melech, a king, and a servant. So we know that many times we relate to Hashem as well as children to their father. So that's a different type of relationship. So children, their fathers are superior, but children have a will of their own. And the father wants to raise an autonomous being. The father wants to make sure, I want to raise you well, but I want you to have a will, I have a will, we don't have to be the same. With a servant in a king, in our mashal, to take the positive aspect of being a slave or of being a servant, a slave has no will of their own. It's completely nullified, completely united to whatever the king wants. That's what the slave desires. The slave and the king are one. This is a mashal between us and Hashem. Just like the fire inside the sun and the sun are one and the same. You can't distinguish. It becomes completely nullified. The fire inside of the sun and the sun are one. HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Jew, we are one. My will and Hashem's will are completely one. And that's what we're recognizing in Rosh Hashanah. We are one. Simple. There's nothing in the world but Hashem. Ein od milvado. Nothing in the world besides, everything is Hashem. Right now we are, so to speak, we are the fire inside of Hashem, which is a huge sun. We don't experience that. We experience ourselves as separate entities, as separate beings, but really that's just an illusion. It's just an illusion. We really are part of Hashem. We and Hashem are one. Hashem allowed that illusion to come into being so we could have our own existence. If not, we would have no free will. If we see Hashem in his greatness, we would be nullified. We would disappear. We wouldn't be able to have our free will. So out of his love for us, he made this illusion that we're a separate being, and so we can exercise our free will. But in reality, if we go deep in our minds, we and Hashem are really one. And that is the essence of Rosh Hashanah. The essence of Rosh Hashanah, it's not the day of judgment. Yes, it's a day of judgment, but it's really about reconnecting and realizing that my will, I'm really just a part of Hashem. So how do we express this on Rosh Hashanah? There is one thing to do on Rosh Hashanah. There's a lot of things we're going to talk about. Minhagim, the apple dipped in the honey, the pomegranates, getting together with our family, praying. It's all good, but with one thing. There's one mitzvah on Rosh Hashanah. There's one biblical commandment. Rosh Hashanah in the Torah is not called Rosh Hashanah. It's called Yom Tru'ah. Yom Tru'ah alluding to the shofar. The one mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah is listening to the blowing of the shofar. So this year, Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbat and Sunday. So Shabbat, we don't listen to the shofar. We're not allowed to blow shofar. But Sunday, everybody should have a chance, even during this COVID year, to listen to the shofar in a safe, in a social distance manner. So you can contact Rabbi Halevi and he can blow the shofar, or there are many, many people that are going house to house and they don't have to come into your house. They can blow from your yard and you can listen to the sound of the shofar. Rabbi Halevi is also, God willing, blowing the shofar at Homely Park on Sunday at 5 p.m. And you can contact him for more info. But the main mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah, listen to the shofar. There is something that is happening, even if we're distracted, even if we're like not connected, even a Jew who doesn't know anything about it, if a rabbi is just blowing the shofar, you could say, what's the point? Something is happening the moment that shofar is being blown. Our neshamas are being awakened, and we are reuniting with Hashem, and we are reigniting Hashem's desire to be our king. When Hashem hears the shofar, we're eliciting His will to keep recreating this world. It's a two-way street. We're saying we want to be partners with you, and Hashem is saying, "Oh, I'm choosing to recreate this world one more time." Because as I said before, we take it for granted that this world is here, but really it says that Hashem is constantly recreating the world. Hashem is blowing. That's the word, the nishima, the breath. Hashem is blowing the world into existence. So blowing takes a lot of strength. It's your inner, it takes, it's from your inner being. So when Hashem is constantly blowing, what would happen, God forbid, if Hashem stops to blow? We would just disappear. Hashem is constantly infusing His energy into this world, into this creation. So there's a famous story, a famous parable of a king and a prince, as all the stories go. And the king wants to test his son, and the king wants his son to become ready for his job when he becomes a king. So the prince is comfortable in the palace. He doesn't know much about the outside world. So the king says to the prince, I want you to go out into the world. Here you have some money. He gives him like a sack of gold. And I want you to explore the world, so you have experience. So the prince says goodbye to his father and he goes into the world. And slowly, the prince starts losing his way. He starts partying, getting drunk, and he just gets completely distracted by the allure of the world, and he completely loses track of what his mission was. He completely forgets. Eventually, he loses all his money and he becomes a pauper. He has nothing to eat. His clothes are all raggedy. And in his despair, with a broken heart, he remembers that he's the son of the king. So he goes to the palace and he tells the guards, please open the door. I want to see my father. The guards are like, what are you talking about? He looked like a crazy person. And he said, I want to see my father, the king. I'm his son. And the guards are laughing at him like, what are you talking about? So the prince is in such pain that the guards are not even recognizing that he's the prince, that he's so brokenhearted that he starts crying, a bitter, bitter cry from the depth of his soul, a bitter cry. He's crying and crying. At that point, the king recognizes he could hear, like a father could hear his son. He could hear that it was his son crying, and he welcomes him into the palace, and they're reunited. That's how the story goes. What's the nimshal? What's the lesson for us? Hashem is the king. Hashem sends us into this world, and he gives us a mission. I want you to go into this world, and I want you to do as many mitzvot as possible. You're not in heaven anymore. It's not all rosy and comfy. I want you to go down, and I want you to elevate this world. I want you to find your specific mission, what only you can do, and I want you to elevate that. I want you to do as many good deeds as possible. Sure. So the neshama comes down. We're excited, and slowly we get lost. Facebook, the necessities of every day. We get caught up in the mundane, in the schedules, and we totally lose track of our mission. So we come to Rosh Hashanah, And the sound of the shofar represents the bitter cry. The sound of the shofar coming from an animal, it's the lowest level. It's just a pure instinct, just crying from the depth of our heart, asking like to return to our Father. And of course, Hashem says, welcome back, like I'm always here for you. That's one of the main reasons of the sounding of the shofar. Of course, the main reason why we sound the shofar, if we would ask what is the main reason, because Hashem said so. Bottom line, everything begins and ends with Hashem said so. Every mitzvah that we do, it's direct will. Hashem wants it, and then we do it. Now, seven Ishma, we will do and we will listen. Now that we say, okay, I'm doing it because Hashem said so, then comes the second part, Nishma. Okay, now I'm going to labor in understanding the mitzvah. Why? Why does Hashem want us to labor? Why is it not just enough? Okay, let me just do it. Because when we go deeper and try to understand what's behind it, behind the reasons of the mitzvah, we have an emotional connection, and then we can appreciate it on a much higher level. So we want to learn all the details and nuances about every mitzvah, about shofar. So main reason we blow the shofar because Hashem said so. Now we're going to go into, now that we have that as a baseline, Rab Sadia Gaon, a famous rabbi, came up with 10 main reasons why we blow the shofar. I'm not going to go through all 10, but I'm going to go through the main ones. So the first one, like we said, is crowning Hashem as king. During times of king's coronation, they would blow the trumpets. So now, when Rosh Hashanah is a time of crowning Hashem as our king, recognizing that you are the one and all, and my will is your will, we blow the shofar. Second reason, the one that is most known and that we teach in preschool, is an alarm. It's a wake up. It's a wake up call. Wake up from our slumber. It's if you hear a noise, it startles you and it switches from whatever you're doing. So the shofar is meant to wake us up from whatever we're doing, and it's an amazing time to change our habits. This is a time to make a commitment, and as the year is starting to, it's a time of refreshing, renewal, new energy. When we blow the shofar, there's a new energy from Hashem that never was in the world. Every year, a new energy, a deeper energy of Hashem from Adam until now. It's coming into this world that was never here before, so we can all tap into that. Another reason for blowing of the shofar, it reminds us of the revelation at Har Sinai. When the Torah was given, the shofar was sound. So we're reminded, on this day, what is our mission? Our mission is about Torah. Another reason for blowing the shofar is Akedat Yitzchak. To remind Hashem in this day of Rosh Hashanah, when you're judging us and we're connecting to you, we say, remember how Abraham put Yitzchak and he was ready to sacrifice everything for you? We're kind of reminding him, remember Hashem, what we did for you in the zchut, in the merit of our avot. We're asking Hashem to bless us for a wonderful, wonderful year. And of course, another reason is that the shofar is foreshadowing the sound of the great shofar, which will sound when Mashiach comes, the big shofar sound. And when Mashiach comes, it would be the ultimate expression of Hashem being our melech, our king, of Hashem being, Hashem is one and his name is one, of the unity of Hashem and of the recognition that ein od milvado, that there's nothing in the world but Hashem. Going back into the parable that I told you before about the king and the prince, let's go even deeper. It reminded me of another little story. There was once a king that decided, he sent a message, I'm going to open the treasures of my palace. He had the most exquisite treasures that a person could imagine, worth billions and billions of rubles, billions of dollars in nowadays. So he said, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., I'm going to make a party in my house and everybody's welcome to come into the royal treasures, which was never open, and you're welcome to grab and take as many riches as possible. The whole town was ecstatic. They got ready. Can you imagine? The word spread around. The king is opening his treasure. People came to the party. But this was no regular party. It was an amazing party. The most exquisite cocktails and desserts that you could imagine, the most exquisite music. Every sense was being inspired by this amazing party. So as this peasant goes into the party, says, okay, I'm gonna go to the treasure soon, but let me just enjoy a little bit of these delicacies. So he starts enjoying, some yummy, yummy treat. And then he starts enjoying the beautiful sound of the violin. He's so mesmerized by all this beauty of this awesome party that all of a sudden, the clock hits 8 o'clock. Ding! The treasures are closed. The party is over. The peasant is brokenhearted. He lost it. He had the opportunity to go into the king's treasure, and he got distracted again by the party. Again, another nimshal, another parable for us. How many times we get distracted, we lose track of our mission. We are here in this world really to do good. I'm going to say it over and over again, but really to do Torah and to do mitzvot. Everything else we get is just distractions that are taking us from, sorry about that. They're just distraction. Like I said, I just said a distraction that are taking us from our main goal, okay? And everybody has a specific mission in their life. And how do you know what your goal is? You'll figure it out through life. But sometimes when something's hard, you just gotta do it. And we all have opportunities, one more mitzvah just to say yes when you wanted to say no and to push ourselves. When Rosh Hashanah comes, many times we get really inspired, and we have all these commitments and ideas of what we're going to do, kind of like resolutions for the new year. So it reminds me of a story of an immigrant who was coming to move to the US, and he doesn't know much about the language or what to do, so he's walking around trying to open a business. So he sees a store that has a big sign that says grand opening. So he sees tons of clients are inside, tons of customers. So he says, oh, nice. So he takes notice. He keeps walking, and he sees another store that says closing up. Tons of customers are in the store as well. He says, oh, wonderful. So this Jew decides, this immigrant decides, you know what? I'm going to do both. I'm going to combine them. So he writes on his store, grand opening and big closure. So everybody, of course, is walking around, and what is this crazy person? What is this meshuganet? So this is kind of like sometimes what we do. Like, we don't want Rosh Hashanah to be a grand opening, grand closure day. We want to stay in business throughout the whole year. We don't want to be Jews of once in a year Jews. We want to be Jews that are involved in the day-to-day business. We want to be committed, right? Whatever we want to do little things that we can improve our connection to Hashem. And as parents, we have a moral obligation to do so. There's a beautiful story of a man who had heretical views, and his son went to sleep. His 5-year-old son went to sleep. So he wanted to influence his son. So he wrote next to his bed, God is nowhere. So the child wakes up in the morning, he reads the sign, and he starts jumping out of joy, and he says, Dad, I'm so excited. Look what's on my wall. And his father said, what? And the child said, God is now here. He changed. God is nowhere. God is now here. Children are intrinsically connected to Hashem. They see it. They see the whole picture. We don't need to do much. We just need to nurture that seed and make sure that we're not messing up that little seed. We have to give that opportunity for that seed to grow. Huge to be there, be present for our children, allow them to develop their connection because it's there. The Haftarah of Rosh Hashanah, of the first day of Rosh Hashanah, it's about Hannah. Hannah, she was married to Elkanah, and she was barren. She couldn't have children for many, many years. And she would suffer greatly. She would cry bitterly over this. Her sister Pnina was able to have children. So every year Hannah would travel with her husband Elkanah to Shiloh, and she would pray. So one year she's praying, and she's so brokenhearted, and she's praying from the bottom of her heart. And Eli, the priest, sees her, and he says, "What are you doing? Well, you're not supposed to be drunk here." And he says, "My Lord, I'm not drunk. I'm devoted. I'm pouring my soul to Hashem." So we learn two things from Hannah. One, to pray with all our heart. Doesn't matter. We're not, if you're not in synagogue, if you don't know exactly the prayers of the Machzor, take a time to connect to Hashem, to pray from the bottom of your heart, and Hashem will listen. Hashem listened to Hannah, and she conceived, and she gave birth to Shmuel Anavi, to Shmuel the prophet. Second thing we learn from Hannah is to keep our promises, to keep our commitments. Hannah promised that if she would have a child, she would bring that child to Eli when the child turned 2, after she finished nursing, and she would leave him in the house of Hashem all days of his life. When Shmuel turned 2, can you imagine how hard as a mother to bring your son, leave your son away from you? She did not procrastinate. She could make excuses, but my son needs me, maybe let me wait a little bit. She didn't procrastinate. She kept her word, and she brought Shmuel, and he became the big Shmuel Anavi. So we have Hannah as a role model to learn from. So how to pray, how to connect, and to keep our commitments to Hashem, and to keep our commitments to ourselves. Another thing that I heard, there's an amazing Rebbetzin Yemima, and she spoke in Israel a couple days ago, and she's so inspiring. And in this year of COVID, she said some things that really hit me. One, she said that we've been so lost, kind of like the prince getting lost, or that peasant getting lost in the party. We got so lost behind our screens. That this year Hashem forced us to be behind screens. Now that we want to see people, now that we are missing seeing people. Hashem forced us to be behind screens. Wow, powerful. We're missing our grandchildren, our connection. We're missing seeing the smiles of people behind the mask. We're missing. This has been the year of missing, of yearning. So everything is a lesson. Hashem is just teaching us. You got used to, you got too comfort, you got too used to life. You lost your chayut, you lost your liveliness, you lost your passion for life. Let's not lose our passion. We have to be alive, we have to yearn. Just like we're yearning to be, that COVID should pass, is that we should be reunited, we're yearning. We should yearn to see Hashem. We should yearn to really see Hashem, not just like, I'm fine, I'm comfortable, my bills are paid, my bills are okay. We should yearn to have Mashiach. We should yearn to see Hashem. You know the game of hide and seek goes, person is hiding and a person is looking. So what would happen if the person, a little child goes to hide, and 10 minutes pass, 20 minutes pass, and she's really hiding and she's excited because nobody can find me. But an hour goes by and the little girl comes out and she realizes, oh, nobody's looking for me. Is that fun? No, she's gonna be so disappointed. There's no point to the game if nobody is searching. So Hashem, so to speak, chose to play this game for us. Hashem said, I'm gonna hide myself. I'm gonna conceal myself in this world. I'm gonna make myself hidden in a way that it's not so revealed. And I want you to look for me. I want you to find me. I want you to search. I want you to elevate. And how do we find Hashem? Every time we make a blessing. Every time we make a bracha. Every time we elevate a piece that's in front of us, we're finding Hashem in the world. What happens when we stop searching? Hashem is sad. Hashem is saying, but you lost the point. I want to play with you. I made this game of hide and seek so you would find me. But we forget about it. Oh, we forget about our mission, that we're really here to bring more godliness into the world, to find Hashem. So, as Rosh Hashanah is coming, let us tap into this energy of renewal. Let us remember what our mission is. Let's remember to, everybody can make sure, we're in LA, to make sure to hear the shofar. And remember that Gam Zu Letova, this is also for the good. Or as Rabbi Yemima said, Gam Zoom Letova. Even Zoom is for the good. The fact that we're on Zoom right now, the fact that we can learn together, everything is for the good. But this is the point. When we say, how do we greet each other? We don't say just Shana Tova, have a good year. We say Shana Tova Metuka, have a happy, sweet new year. What is Metuka? So Tova means good. Everything Hashem does is good. There's no way Hashem can do something bad, because the essence of Hashem is goodness. So there's no way that something good as Hashem can create bad. So Hashem, which is the epitome of kindness and goodness, does only good. However, you're going to tell me, I don't feel like that. There's so much pain, there's so much suffering, blah, 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 blah. We don't experience it like that, right? So we're asking Hashem, Shana Tova Umetuka. It should be a sweet year in a way that we can internalize it, in a way that we can swallow it, that we can perceive it, that we can really use it. We want revealed blessings. I think this past year, it's been a year of purification. You know, I heard from another rabbi that a lot of the clubs were closed, a lot of things were really, the world was being purified. So as we enter this new year, 5,781, let's tap into that energy of renewal and simcha. Remember, joy, simcha poreret, simcha, the joy breaks all barriers. So our main avoda, our main job in these times are to be the simcha, to connect with Hashem, and to keep looking for Him. That's what He's doing. That is the name of the game. Keep looking, keep yearning. And now just to end very quickly, Friday night, we're going to light the candles. It's Shabbat and Yom Tov, so we're going to light regular time, 80 minutes before sunset. We'll say two brachot, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat b'shel Yom HaZikaron, day of remembrance. And the second bracha, we say Shehecheyanu. And then at night, there's different minhagim, the apples and the honey, the dates, the rimon. And then on the second, then Shabbat, we can just connect, say Tehillim, do our prayers. Take a time, even if you're very busy, 10 minutes just to connect. Motzei Shabbat, the second night of Rosh Hashanah, we light the candles again, same two brachot. This time we have a new fruit. So when we say Shehecheyanu, we think about a new fruit. And then we have Sunday, where we have the mitzvah of the day, which I want everybody to do, listening to the shofar. And also, if possible, not as important as shofar, that we have the mitzvah of tashlich, which could be done, it could be done on Rosh Hashanah or any day up until Yom Kippur. And also, when we start Rosh Hashanah, it starts the 10 days of Aseret Yemei Tshuva leading to Yom Kippur. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Shana Tova Umetuka, a very, very sweet year that we can taste the sweetness, and Kol Tuv and Mashiach now.